They were under the impression that this thing ran for about 30 days because that's what they were told. Ladies and gentlemen, Mina from Ion Real Estate. I have had this video request for quite a number of times from a lot of owners. They wanted to understand the process of selling your house. Where do you start? How do you do it? All these things and how that process flows. Today, I'm going to run you through it very briefly. Well, where does it start and what to expect? This is very general information, of course. So the first thing you do is once you find the agent that you want to engage with, ideally you want someone that's actually quite capable, someone that's quite experienced, that has an idea what they're doing. But the first thing you want to do is effectively you sign something called a sales authority. What the sales authority is, it actually allows the agent to engage with you on your behalf on selling the property. Now, what that's going to have in it, it's going to have the estimated selling price, it's going to have the amount of marketing, it's going to have your name, your email, the term of the agreement, so how long that's going to go for. That's probably something you want to obviously look at quite carefully. We've seen in the past some clients have engaged other agents and they had no idea they were engaged for, one of these was about 7 months. They were under the impression that this thing ran for about 30 days because that's what they were told. These are things you probably want to be quite cautious of when you engage an agent. Where to go from there? Once a sales authority has actually been signed, you need to engage with the conveyancer. What's a conveyancer going to do? They're going to organize something called the Section 32, or there's another term for it called the vendor statement. That's effectively information, more or less information about your property that needs to be disclosed to the buyer. That's probably going to have a fair bit of information in that, like plan of subdivision. If the property is under a certain age, it's going to have things like the building permit, certificate of occupancy, certificate of insurance, and there's a whole lot of other information, the title of the property. Like I said, there's a whole lot of other information that's going to go in that Section 32, but that gets organized by your conveyancer or a solicitor. It's more likely that they're probably going to prepare the contract of sale that's going to be sent out to your potential buyer. Once that happens, what you're going to need to do is send off that contract and that Section 32 to your agent that you've signed up with. And effectively, they're going to have that on file in order to be able to begin getting offers on the property once it's ready for sale. Following that, it depends on what route you're going to take. Route number one is you run it what we call an off-market campaign. Now, off-market campaign is effectively the property is not actually being advertised. So that agent is now relying on their own pool of buyers, so their database of buyers. How that works is, let's say, for example, that agent might have sold 10 properties in the last couple of weeks. Generally speaking, they probably might have had a few inquiries off the back of those properties, people that have missed out on them or something of that nature. It's quite plausible that they probably have kept that data on file. What generally happens is if they come to you and say, hey, look, we've got buyers that we believe could be that could be interested in your property, always engage with the agent before them getting buyers through, ideally. So this is just my advice. If it's an off-market buyer, obviously there's no marketing cost involved in that whatsoever. So you're not really taking photos, there's no campaigns being run, it's not going on any internet portals or anything of that nature. Effectively what that is the buyer comes through, if they like the property, they give you an offer, everything moves forward from there. Now, that's one part of it. If you don't want to go down that route and you want to push the property live and go to market with it, that, in my opinion, is probably a better route to take because naturally you're going to see more buyers. The agent is going to organize the photos, they're going to organize the videos, and obviously followed by that, they're going to probably organize the ad write-up, they're going to organize the drafts for the boards if it's picture boards, they're probably going to organize the drafts for brochures, as such. That's what ours look like, just for reference. So these are professional brochures. So they're probably going to organize all these things on your behalf, or the admin team will. At that point, then the property is going to be what I would refer to as ready for launch. Now, ready for launch meaning that the property is now ready to go live to the marketplace. Now, once it goes live to the marketplace, here is what to expect from there. So let's say it gets advertised tomorrow. What tends to happen from there, you're going to start getting inquiries on it, provided it's marketed well and the photos look great and it's in a good location, there's a good marketing strategy behind it, and it's priced well. Price is actually quite a very important factor that comes with this too. Following that, you're going to start getting inspections. So that could be by the way of open homes, it could be by private inspections, or a mix of both, or one or the other. It depends on what your preference is and what your agent's plan is as well. Now, following that, what your agent should do is actually start providing you with feedback. Feedback is when a buyer comes through your house, they're gonna go have a look around. You want to get a fair bit of an idea to how that inspection went. Did they like it? Did they hate it? Are they thinking about it? Are they not? Is it a point of interest to them in any way, shape, or form? Because if that feedback could actually help you or assist you to sell the property, that's great. So let's say, for example, the property goes to market, there's 10 buyers that have a look at it within the course of a week. 9 out of them, they say, look, the color of the walls is too yellow, for example. Well, that's something that you probably want to know about, because if it's something that's adjustable or you're open to making that adjustment, let's say you want to paint the walls white, well, that's probably a good idea to actually look into that as well, to try and improve the look of the property for the next lot of buyers that come through. Now, if it's something to do with the location, it's definitely a lot less controllable. It's always still good to get that as a point of feedback, because that could then be, okay, well, the marketing might need to be revised, or potentially the price might need to be revised. This is information that's quite important that we get directly from the buyers out there in the marketplace, because if they're not buying your property or they're not putting offers in on your property, they're definitely putting offers in on something else. So what's stopping them from putting an offer on your property? That's something you want to know. Is it size? Is it the age? Is it the location? Is it the price? There's a lot of different factors that are looked at. You ideally want to start getting offers on the table. Your agent wants to get offers on the table. Now, those offers, naturally, if they are negotiated properly and the terms and conditions fit, then they should turn into a sale. So what is required there is your buyer would put the offer in a contract of sale, and that contract of sale is going to go to you for review. And if you're happy with everything, you sign it off. It is quite common with contracts of sale. There's probably a number of conditions attached. So the most common ones that you're probably going to see are subject to finance and subject to building and pest inspection. Those are probably the two most common ones. Now, there is a number of other special conditions as well that you could potentially see. For it, subject to cleaning. It could be subject to someone wants to move into the property prior to settlement. There's a number of special conditions that you could possibly see, but I'm talking more about the two most common ones. Once the special conditions have been met, what happens after that is the balance of deposit should be paid at that point, and then the property goes unconditional. Past that point, in between the time that the unconditional process happens or the unconditional takes place and the settlement period, in the middle of that, you're probably going to have what we call a final inspection. That usually takes place maybe about a week out from settlement, roughly. Could be 5 days, could be the day before it in some cases, but usually it's about maybe 3 to 5 days out from the settlement period. Now, that is, it basically just allows the buyer to come in for another viewing just before they settle on the property, just to make sure that it's effectively, as it's been purchased. If there are some special conditions in the contract, such as it's subject to the property being cleaned, or subject to the grass being cut, or subject to something being removed, those are obviously other factors to look at as well, which your conveyance is probably going to be helping you out with that. Once that final inspection takes place, if everything goes nice and smooth, effectively on settlement date, then the property would settle. You'll get your money, the buyer gets the keys. Happy days. This is just a quick summary of how the sales process goes when you're looking at selling your property. There's obviously a lot more in-depth information, quite a lot of in-depth information. But like I said, this is just for anyone that wanted a quick summary of how that functions. But if you are looking at selling your property and you'd like more information on that, a bit more in depth, give us a call, 0401 053 553, or PM my page.